So, hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Turn 5 podcast, where we will be reviewing the Dutch Grand Prix and previewing the Italian Grand Prix, because it's another double header. I don't know why we've got so many double headers when we think a month's break after the next one, but anyway, that's to rant about after the next one.
Scheduling. Yeah.
Yeah. The Dutch Grand Prix. One sentence race review, please, Ben.
Simply lovely.
Richard.
The tides are turning? Question mark.
I know what you're getting at. I'm just going to look at the race in itself and say it was a bit shit.
It's because his driver
F1's back.
Welcome back to Formula One, where if Chris's driver doesn't win, the race is a bit shit.
No,
that is all of
that
us,
is
though, isn't
not
it?
true. If you look at some of the other ones from this season where we've had a Verstappen win or a Norris win, it's been a good race. We've said it's a good race.
One race. That's been one other race that Norris has won.
Or a Piastri win, or literally anybody else.
I think we've complained about the Lando win, and I think we complained about the Piastri win. So,
no, I think
you want to try that one again, buddy?
I think Chris did say that the Miami race was shit, and we were all annoyed because Lando won it when we were saying that it was a good race.
No, I did say it was a good race because it was Lando's first win, but if it had been any other driver that it wasn't their first win, it would have been decidedly mediocre. So I will stand by that statement of it had the importance because it was the first win for Lando.
So this one wasn't his first win.
It wasn't, no, but it had a different kind of importance.
Yeah, but it was still a bit shit.
I didn't mind it. There was stuff going on.
If Lando just wins shit races every time, I could not care less.
He's still
we had to put up with it with Lewis for 4 years or however many more it was. Probably was 6,
2014
7.
through 2020. It was only Nico Rosberg that really put up a fight for 1 year.
And the Ferrari cars in 2017.
But it was Ferrari. You knew they were going to shoot themselves in the foot at some point. It was just a matter of when, not if. So I didn't mind this race. I think there was stuff going on
for half a year.
Yeah. There was stuff going on sort of up and down the grid that wasn't too bad to watch. Like, we didn't actually watch Lando's race for most of it, which is how you know it was a dominant performance. When you don't see the lead car, except for, like, when they come into pit and when they cross the fucking line, they've had a good race.
Yeah, he had a good race. I won't dispute that.
Like,
I said that going into this weekend to my friends when I was away on holiday, the track just isn't designed for these cars.
What are you talking about? They re-profiled corners specifically for these cars. No, it's too narrow.
It didn't work. Yeah,
I still think that they should change the cars for tracks like this in Monaco to
go-karts.
2006 cars, go-karts. Yeah, get V10s or go-karts. Let's just have fun and use it like a sprint race.
Yeah, just get a Formula 3 car out and go, can we just borrow this, please, mate? Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
I mean, they've all got 10 Formula 1 Academy cars. Just get some more.
Yeah. Well, I think Formula 3 would be easier because they're more mass-produced already. Like, they've got 30 of them. And let's be honest, they've got some spares.
Yeah.
So, what's a few more spares going to hurt?
Another 30 cars at the back just in case.
It's just one massive lorry with 30 F3 chassis in it. No, it wasn't the most entertaining race we've had at Zandvoort. We didn't have any yellow flags. We didn't have any safety cars. We didn't have any virtual safety cars. We didn't even have a change in weather condition, which we've had in numerous sessions across the weekend. The race was dry.
It's two ways to describe it.
Yeah, it's double entendre, I suppose. But like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a complete snooze fest. I was still reasonably invested in watching a Haas get overtaken by 4 cars in the space of about 400 meters.
Yeah.
You know, there was stuff that was going on. There was strategy at play. There was, because like, I was interested in watching Alex Albon's race. He pitted early off the softs, went onto the hards, then found himself in the lower region of the top of the midfield, sort of on the fringes of the points. And it became a case of, okay, what can he actually do from here? When everyone else is on new hards. Turns out his hards only lasted about half the race distance, so he had to make another pit stop.
Yeah.
Was that a shock? Not really. Was it a disappointment for them? Probably.
Will they learn from it?
No.
No.
Actually, it's James Vowles, so probably. It's that side of the garage, so I think they will. Then again, the other side of the garage made a notable improvement by actually finishing a feature race length race for the first time at Zandvoort. So, grats Logie Bear on that. That was my bold prediction, was Logan was actually going to finish a race because he hadn't finished anything other than a sprint race at Zandvoort. And given how disastrously his weekend went last year, I think I was in good stead to call that a bold prediction. Given how his qualifying went this year, I think I was still in good stead to call it a bold prediction. Actually, no, it wasn't even his qualifying. It was FP3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was FP3.
Yeah, it didn't even qualify. So...
Did he crash in the same place as he did in the race last year?
No. Last year in the race...
he was on like the curves up the hill, wasn't he?
Yeah. He decided to try and cut the corner slightly onto the wet grass, and then proceeded to not lift his foot out of the throttle.
Whereas this time, he didn't cut the corner. He just went a little.
Well, no, that was this time.
Grass.
That was this time. He cut over the inside of the curb.
Yeah, I think he just ran a bit wide on the exit, put it on the grass, and then kept the throttle pinned and skid up the wall.
No grip there, mate.
Yeah. Last year, I can't remember what it was. Last year he was turn 7, I think. The first of the 2 right-handers. So you go down the fast sweeping right-hander, and then there's the corner before where Hamilton impeded Perez. That was where Logan went off last year. God, I've got such a good memory for really useless pieces of information.
But yeah, this year it was more at turn 4, I think it was.
Yeah, this year was sort of between 4 and 5, and last year's was turn 8. Beg your pardon.
But yeah, it was a big shunt.
Yeah, I was more concerned about the people behind the barrier than him, to be honest, because there were people very close behind that barrier, because that is a marshalling station.
And there was also lots of photographers there,
also,
because they gave a sort of wide shot. You see him come into the barrier, hit it, you just see them all ducking for cover.
Run.
Yeah. And I've also seen pictures from the FIA volunteers account, and he put quite a hole in the barrier as well.
Yeah, there was quite a lengthy delay to FP3.
It was 45 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Roughly.
Because obviously they had to go and repair the bloody barrier. Because somebody decided that hole punching it was the idea. No, but obviously, glad everyone's all right. Unfortunate for the team as well that it caught fire.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the bigger issues there. Damage is damage, you can patch up damage, you can fix damage. We saw it with Alex's tub. He can carbon fiber plaster over that, but fire damage is something else entirely. So
yeah, it completely wrecked the gearbox. They because the chassis was actually surprisingly okay.
Mm.
It survived the impact, but it was the gearbox fire that wrote them out of qualifying.
Yeah, it's one of those things though. Sometimes it just happens. We've seen it before where you've had seemingly innocuous shunts and suddenly the car's on fire. We saw it where you've had it in Australia last year, where nothing's wrong, then suddenly puff, and then suddenly inferno on the back of George's car. So
yeah, same in Austria. What was it? 2 years ago with Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Yeah, just completely fine. Oh, fire!
Please evacuate the vehicle.
Yeah.
You're on fire. So
Crofty and Anthony Davidson did have an interesting chat during the red flag. Should they pad extra time into the schedule of only 10-15 minutes, that if there is a lengthy red flag such as that, to allow for some running? Because we essentially saw no running in FP3 because of it.
yeah, but then it becomes a case of what do you do with the dead space when there isn't a red flag? It just becomes more dead space.
Yeah.
Send out recycling trucks to go racing.
Just send out the marshals for another dance party.
Let the safety car do some drifts around the track.
Well, they do that on a Thursday. It's very well received.
Why not
Yeah.
do it on a Friday as well?
So it's one of those ones, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, just add more Pirelli hot laps. They can make money out of those.
You can plan for all of these sort of circumstances, but at a certain point, it will become a case of...
Let it be a 10-minute team principal race.
It'll become a case of you're just... how do you word it? So on my course, we studied flood risk, and there becomes a case of like you over-engineer basically a factor of safety. So you can design a flood defense for a 1 in 50 year flood event or a 1 in 100 year flood event, and that's viable in terms of you're planning it. It's got a financial backing, payout, whatever. But if you go for like the 1 in 1,000 year that's about 84 foot higher than everything else, then it's sort of like, what's the point? Is it really actually going to be useful? Why bother? There's no real financial gain for it. So it's sort of like that in a... Yes, we've had a lengthy red flag because of the barrier, and yes, we've had lengthy red flags in the past where drains have been sucked up by the cars and such like that. It's not a regular enough occurrence for me that it is worth padding the time with what would essentially become dead space.
There's only so many Logan Sargents that can get a drive.
Yeah.
It would be one to look at, though, like over the year, how many sessions have we had a red flag that has lasted longer than 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think what Crofty would say is like, if you lose half the session to a red flag,
Yeah, like
give a bit of time at the end.
If the schedule could be flexible in terms of shunt it, fine. Because like on a Sunday we have plenty of time. Say the F1 Academy race had a red flag. That's hours ahead of the Formula 1 race. We've got loads of time for that to be red flagged, to patch up any barrier or issue or whatever, and then resume. There's no issue there. It's on the busier days, like on the Fridays and Saturdays when we've got the F1 Academy, we've got the Porsche Mobile Super Cup. We already had the issue of on Saturday of inclement weather postponing the F1 Academy race to Sunday morning. So both races were actually run on the Sunday morning with a little under 2 hours between when they finished and when they started the next one. So it's a scheduling thing, I think, at the end of the day, and I don't think it's worthwhile causing that much of a headache for schedulers, promoters, broadcasters, because that's what you got to remember is people have got broadcast schedules to maintain as well. If sessions keep getting extended, it throws everything else out of whack. It's all right if you've got, like, I know they do it with like football, extra time and penalties at major tournaments. BBC and ITV, it's just kind of like they just say, "Oh, this will the news will follow after the football," sort of thing. You know, fair enough, understandable. For like
Football's
15,
more important.
but for 15 minutes of fucking free practice 3 session, is it really worthwhile?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose, like, in terms of Sky and stuff, they would just build it in and
Yeah,
do
it's
pointless
Sky.
chatter. If it doesn't happen, and if it does, well, they'll show the on
It's
track.
like
The two sort of
Yeah.
examples there that are sort of it would work is F1's own broadcast channel, because
yeah.
what the fuck else are they broadcasting? And Sky
Road
F1, where they have a dedicated channel for Formula One. In other territories, that's not the case. In America, if it's on fucking CBS or Fox or whatever, they have other shit to broadcast. They can't be waiting around for an FP3 session to overrun by 25 minutes to then catch the last 3 minutes of action. They've got other things to be doing. So it's fine if in your territory there is a dedicated Formula One broadcast channel. It would be okay. It would just be a headache for schedulers at the event.
Mm.
Outside of that, it's more of a logistical issue for broadcasters. So I think just on logistics, not worth the hassle.
Yeah. I think when it came up, it was sort of more fans at the track experience he was thinking of that they're all there to watch an hour of Formula One cars and see fight.
At the same time, you're there to watch an hour of Formula One, but you also have the understanding that these things happen.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're at a Grand Prix, you know these things can happen.
Yeah.
I think F1 should give the fans a refund.
On the plus side, that was just if you're there on the Saturday, which is when it happened, it's only the free practice session that you've missed the running of. You've still got all of qualifying, which is
the clock stops in qualifying,
which is really what you're there for. Let's be honest. So, I don't think.
What do you mean? On a Saturday, you're clearly there for the support series races.
I mean, yeah, that as well. But you're not there for FP3,
yeah,
right?
Everyone's there for qualifying.
I mean, I'd definitely be there to watch the support races, but FP3, I'm probably going to go and get some food. Like, if there's a red flag like that, I'm gone.
Yeah,
I'm going to queue for the toilets. I'm going to queue for some merch. I'm going to queue for some food. I'm going to queue for a drink. Like, there's many other better things I could be doing than waiting around for an FP3 that may or may not resume. You know, I'd rather get all of that. I'd rather get all of that stuff done and out of the way while FP3 is red flagged than miss the F1 Academy qualifying.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm more shocked that they did resume the session.
It was very touch and go on how much time they had left. So yeah.
Especially when they fired up session will resume at 12:25 TBC. It's like just say session will not resume. It's free practice. Don't put that stress on the track.
The fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want to see it.
How much time was left? Like what?
5 minutes. Sorry. So they put up 12:25 TBC. Then it was pushed back to 12:27. TBC, and then it finally came up. Session will resume at 12:28. It resumes with 2 minutes to go.
Enough for a lap.
Yeah, they got an out lap and a timed lap in.
Yeah,
and that was about it. Yeah. So
gives drivers an eye for the track, as it was mixed conditions ish at that time.
Yeah, it was still damp, so it's at least they got some running.
And then when that happened, we had the first, I mean, I don't really want to call it a controversy because it wasn't much, but first incident of the weekend where fans like to make more of it than it's actually worth. When Verstappen decided to overtake 2 people in the pits and cross the white line at pit exit.
Now, okay, cross is a term that I find absolutely hilarious in Formula One.
Touch.
Because, basically, they take the view of rugby in Formula One of if you touch the white line, you're over the white line. But only on the pit exit line. If it's the track limits, you're still fine. It's as long as you're a little bit in. So Formula One is a weird hybrid of rugby rules and football rules. The track limits obey football rules. The pit lane obeys rugby rules.
Well, I think it's easier for them to be like if it touches the white line because it's easier to see if the wheels touch the white line than if it's over it by 0.1 millimeter or something. You're like,
They did address some track issues limits at various corners this weekend as well by painting a blue line over the beautiful orange and white curbs of the Zandvoort circuit. I mean, if it works, you know, I didn't see much in the way of track limits. I did a little bit in feeder series, but not in. Actually, that was in. That was in.
Every weekend for them.
That was Porsche Super Cup. I saw it in actually. So.
Porsche Super Cup views track limits as a suggestion.
They were, yes.
There's a reason why they don't do the track limits in that during a session. They just wait until after it and watch it back and go, deleted, deleted, deleted. But yeah, in the race for Formula One, there were 4 lap times deleted for track limits.
So basically, even if that was one person, that's just enough for your black and white flag.
5-second time penalty.
Is it 3 and then the black and white, or is it the third is the black and white? What is it?
It's the third, not the black and white.
Oh, okay.
And then the 4th is a penalty. I'm sure that's what it is.
5-second time penalty. But yeah, no, obviously there wasn't because they split them up. But, which obviously means it's working, you know?
Yeah.
Which is what we want. We don't want to spend the whole time going, oh, so-and-so got another fucking time penalty because he did track limits, because he can't keep it in the track, because he's a fucking shit driver. You know? We're actually just talking about
you've got to turn in at
else.
the exactly right point with the exact right speed that you need.
Yep.
And not understeer and have the tyres in the perfect condition.
And still, you're not as quick as Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
But speaking
you could cut the corner.
Speaking of black and white flags and Max Verstappen, that's exactly what he got for crossing the white line at pit exit.
I mean, it's a fucking practice session. It's also some. Like,
who's watching? Like at that point, you're getting your food, you go in the toilet, you're waiting for the floor.
You've gone, oh fucking hell! They've restarted the session. It's only it's only 2 minutes left. Oh, that's not worth it. Like, there's slightly mitigating circumstances on this one, right? The pit lane at Zandvoort is, in my opinion, unfit for purpose because it is just too bloody narrow and it's too short and lengthwise, Ben, lengthwise. And the pit exit is also just too narrow because, like, as Max has demonstrated, you can't go 2 cars wide through it, which you can pretty much do at most other circuits.
I don't know if I invented it, but I thought the race director had tried to say no overtaking in the pits at some point.
Once you're out of the...
I think that was just a certain race.
It's more if you're... Once you've passed the white line at the end of the pits, like pit exit between, like the pit limiter line, once you're past there, you're fine.
Once you pass the light, eventually.
Yeah, once you pass there, it's free track. So you can race in and you can race out, but you can't race in the middle.
Yeah.
That was basically
that with like race practice starts as well.
It depends where they are.
Yeah, that depends on the circuit because some practice starts are done on the grid because you can't do them at the end of the pit lane, and some are done at the end of the pit lane where they have enough room. So we'll probably see it next week at the end of the pit lane because there's plenty of room there.
Yeah,
because the pit lane's fit for purpose, even though it's one of the oldest circuits on the calendar. Who'd have thought the Italians future-proofed their race circuit?
Anyway, I can't believe I'm using this racetrack as an example, but Sochi had a practice start box in the pit lane, whereas Zandvoort, they have to go to the grid.
Yeah, Sochi had a practice start box that Lewis viewed as a suggestion and didn't use, and then got in trouble for.
Silverstone actually starts on the grid as well.
Yeah, that's just because the
because of its
exit's
design.
fucking weird.
Yeah, unless you want Grosjean to go spinning again. I don't think it would work well.
That was ridiculous.
But yeah, anyway, qualifying. First of all, we'll start talking about what we found out at the end of the session. Alex Albon disqualified.
Lol.
For, what was it, being 0.2 of a millimetre over?
His floor was too wide or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a tiny amount.
Yeah, James Vowles was on the pit wall this weekend with Sky. He basically said it was a bit of 40 grit of sandpaper, and like two brushes of that, and that would have been compliant. So, ouch. But those are the margins we deal with.
Exactly. The rules are the rules. And when it comes to technical infringement, you're either legal
or you're not,
or you're disqualified.
Yeah. It's rough, but it's what it is, and that's what we always say when it's these fine margins.
Yeah. I actually can't find the exact amount in the documents. I'm checking the last one that I think it could be in, but yeah, if I remember rightly, someone came out and said it was an absolutely minuscule amount. So, oh well. And Williams' other car also didn't take part in qualifying because, as we say, Logan Sargent absolutely scalped it into a barrier.
Yeah, did a good job there.
Yeah. The mechanics done their best, but the damage was just much.
I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I saw it was on fire, I knew he wasn't going to take part.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to repair all of the sort of, I guess, periphery components of the car, if you can call them that. The suspension arms, the wheels, the wings, all that sort of shit. There's they have parts of, that's pretty simple. But on fire, gearbox change, engine changes, those take hours. Especially when there's fire damage involved, because then you've got to go over everything and check everything, and like, no. As soon as it was on fire, I was like, that's it, he's done. So,
but as usual, both cars were allowed to take part because they had set representative lap times in FP1 and FP2. And in Alex Albon's case, probably FP3 as well.
Yes.
So Q1, the usual suspects went out. I don't seem to recall. Well, Esteban Ocon, I think, went out in Q1, which was a bit of a surprise because that Alpine didn't look all that slow this weekend.
Yeah, Ocon went out. The four losers were Joe, Bottas, Ocon, and Ricciardo.
Yeah, so as I say, Ocon going out when his teammate qualified P9. Well, P10, I suppose, is a bit more of a surprise because the Alpine, it's certainly not as much of a bus as it was at the start of the season.
No, it's made steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Losing both stakes isn't exactly a surprise.
No, I think that's pretty much what we expect at this point.
Yeah, it's guaranteed.
Yeah. And the RBs as well, they're always there or thereabouts.
Yeah, given that Yuki only qualified a couple of places ahead, like literally just the Haas cars in between them, you'd say that's sort of about where they're at.
And it's where they've been at the past few rounds as well.
Yeah.
It's not like they just had a sudden downturn in pace.
Yeah, so, and then obviously, the next set was both the Haas's, Yuki, and then the two, I'd say, more surprising exits were Lewis and Carlos.
Well, definitely Lewis, considering before track evolution, he put in the fastest time of Q1. And had he went out again when everyone went out on the second set of fresh softs, then probably would have put in an even faster time in Q1. So that was a surprise. Sainz, honestly,
He
the
just
Ferrari
didn't seem
didn't
to
look
hook it
there.
up. Well, his one didn't.
Yeah, because he struggled in Q1 as well.
Mm.
There was a time that it looked touch and go and getting into Q2.
Yeah, he was only sort of 0.3 off the bottom in Q1.
And that was because he went
off the
out
drop
on
zone, sorry.
Yeah, and that's because he went out on a second set of fresh softs, and the track became amazing in the last few minutes.
Yeah,
But
he missed
Lewis,
out by 90. Wait, is that 99 or 101? 99 hundredths of a second. He was knocked out by.
But yeah, he actually went faster than Hamilton in Q1, but as we say, Hamilton done less laps.
Yeah.
And then Q3.
The bottom half is kind of what you expect, really.
Yeah.
Alpine, the one that made it, was the last car. Then Lance and Fernando sandwiching Alex. Alex obviously then was later disqualified, but Alex
Qualified, yeah.
Bottom section of the top 10, pretty much sort of where you'd think he'd be. He's obviously putting in good performances in that car, but that's kind of where we've come to expect him to qualify. I'd say is fair.
Yeah.
7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere around there is where he's sort of, if the car's doing bits, then that's where we expect him to be. So yeah, and obviously Alonso 7th. I mean, 7th and 9th, which became 8th for Aston Martin. It's probably better than they've had recently. So
some of that.
Can't really. I don't think they can be too disappointed with that. Then Leclerc in 6th. Pretty much the Ferraris didn't look amazing, but
No.
Charles definitely looked better than Sainz did in quali.
That wouldn't really be hard, to be fair.
Well, yeah. Perez in 5th. Decent, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, yeah,
he was still 4/10 slower than Max.
Yeah.
But that's a damn sight quicker than the 1.3 seconds slower than he was last year.
At least he's in the mix.
Mm.
And yeah, if you look at it, even just in sort of terms of position, the McLaren, the Red Bull, and the Mercedes at the moment are all sort of much of a muchness on one lap pace, on average.
Yeah.
So 5th is bang in the mix. It's sort of where you want to be.
Yeah.
Anything below that would be viewed as a disappointing qualifying session.
So
then you've got, after Perez, George Russell. A good qualifying for him, I think. The Mercedes just wasn't really there this weekend.
Yeah.
It showed signs of pace earlier, and then it just seemed to drop off.
Yeah, I don't think the slightly damp conditions did it any favours, to be honest. But then the top
Piastri,
3 is sort of, I guess, what we've come to expect in the last few rounds.
Yeah, Piastri, Verstappen, Norris.
Those 3 in sort of any order sort of seems to make up the top 3 in most quali sessions these days, doesn't it?
But you've got to say, what a lap by Lando Norris.
Yeah.
The only one into the 109s.
Yeah, it was over 1/3 of a second quicker than Max's time. So, yeah, that's a way to put your foot down and say, I'm here.
Yeah.
That is at his home Grand Prix to say, get fucked.
And then, as usual, from Lando Norris when he qualifies on pole, lap 1 just isn't a strong point.
Fun fact, every time Lando has qualified on pole position, at the end of lap 1, he has not been the driver in the lead.
Yeah.
Every time.
And if he wants to be seen as a serious title contender, out with of this season,
got to fucking sort it out.
He has to sort it out, yeah. you can't fight for championships giving up first place every time you're on pole.
Yeah, I know he managed to get past him on this occasion, but there'll be times where that won't happen. Imagine that's Monaco.
I was just about to say that.
That's game over.
Yeah.
You've just handed him the win.
Especially with the way you let him gap him at first.
Yeah.
Before sort of clawing it back. In some circuits as well, you're not going to be able to claw that back as well.
No, definitely not.
Well, I'm trying to think, where has the McLaren been slow this year? Sort of since it's upturned.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but that's when it was a tractor.
I think it's more the heat, to be honest.
Yeah.
But...
there has been tracks, I'm pretty sure, where it's not
when there's just
been as competitive. Yeah.
Where have we been? Since Miami, isn't it?
Belgium, probably a good example. It wasn't great in Belgium.
No, you're right.
Oscar did.
Oscar only finished as close in Belgium because the two Mercedes had a scrap.
Fighting, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if that was Belgium, for instance, he's not bringing that back.
No.
Because McLaren just wasn't there. He's lucky that it was there at this circuit. And Max seemed to make a mistake, which let him on top of him. Although I don't think we ever seen that on the broadcast. Basically, what made the gap go from 9/10 to 3.
DRS.
But yeah.
Yeah.
No, see, I don't think it was, because with
pace.
DRS in the past few laps, he didn't really come anywhere near. And then all of a sudden, because even Crofty was like, whoa, holy shit, where'd they come from?
Bit of battery dump.
Yeah, possibly.
Getting that illegal engine, fucking.
No wonder Mercedes will start doing well.
Oh, they've done a Ferrari. There'll be a secret agreement signed with the FIA. Yeah.
I would not give two shits if at like the end of this year it turns out that McLaren's been illegal for the past 2 years. Since it's come a rocket ship and we've won races.
I'd give a shit if it meant that we got everything stripped.
But did Ferrari get everything stripped?
No, they signed a secret agreement with the FIA.
So
because it's Ferrari.
Oh yeah, I suppose it's a Ferrari. What was it? The Ferrari
International Assistance.
Yeah, that's it. Take us back.
Nowadays on social media, it seems to be FIA Bull is the.
Wow, that's so original.
One. I know.
That's awful.
I
don't even know if FIA really out Red Bull.
At least we had like the Mafia, which was at least mildly interesting.
Yeah.
Well, they do when it comes to wings. Clearly the FIA like wings as well.
Yeah, but they still punished them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
They went with Ferrari.
Where it was just like, don't do it.
To be fair,
we'll keep everything under wraps.
Yeah.
Take the fucking engine out of your car.
Maybe that's what the FIA have took that from Ferrari. Say we'll keep it a secret, and they've gone, "Hey, McLaren, you know what you've done in the past.
You know you like a bit of Ferrari insider information. Would you like some more?"
But to be fair, taking that engine out of the Ferrari could be viewed as punishment. They went from the second.
They went from having the fastest straight line speed to the fucking second slowest.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh yeah, it's nothing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It won't impact us at all. Winning races to back of the fucking grid."
Yeah, the 2020 F1 season was not kind to Ferrari.
No. It was hilarious to watch from an outside perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking, fucking hell, they're doing a bit alright after the summer break. 4 weeks later, fucking hell, they're doing a bit shit, aren't they?
And then the 2020 season came round and it's like, oh. As they qualify, what was it, like 14th?
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet Charles still somehow got a podium.
Mm.
That's because only 11 cars finished that Grand Prix, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, still
So
a
it wasn't hard.
fucking shit box of a car that couldn't.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
And Lewis got a 5-second time penalty right after a safety car. So all the cars were bunched together. So that helped.
Shouldn't have been a sore loser.
Yeah, exactly. What else happened in the race? The one thing that sort of jumps out to me that I can remember is when I think we were following Norris for a bit, and then the camera just cut back to the main straight, and there's just like 5 cars
Mhm.
all together.
Kevin Magnussen getting absolutely mugged.
Yeah. And then Alex Albon complaining that something was dangerous, and we never quite found out what.
Like, yeah, what?
The sport.
Because the radio message was detached from the replay because it's delayed and whatever, and it's like we never really got the kind of like, when the fuck did this happen? At what point was it actually? Is it because
Dangerous.
Is it because the Haas was just that slow? And it's like, fucking hell, everyone behind him's got DRS and is probably dumping a shitload of battery just to make sure they're keeping up with everyone else and to get ahead of the Haas before they get to the corner. Like, that's your own doing. You're making it dangerous if that's what you're complaining about. Like, just fucking get on with it.
Yeah.
He's running his own race. Clearly.
Yeah.
It reminded me at the start of every park run I take part of, because I always start at the front so that my time is accurate. But it means that I immediately get swamped by about 300 people as they just cruise past me as I run my own race.
At least you were leading.
I was. Yeah.
Exactly.
It means that my position gained, you know, they have like a stat. I gained no positions. I have lost over 1,000 positions since starting up Parkrun again.
But at a certain point of that run, if they were
I
to null and void it,
I do
you would have
retake
won.
some positions at the end. So I do overtake some people. So the last sort of like 300 meters, I make some overtakes.
Fucking sprint into the finish.
Yeah,
Then
it was.
Look at me. Look at all of you.
It was not the Saturday just gone. One before I started going for it, and I was thinking, like, yeah, this is good pace. Because I was watching the clock, thinking we can get under this particular minute barrier. Good pace. Overtake these couple of people. 30 meters later, one of them comes back past me, and I'm like, you fuck.
He's put his bollocks on the table and said, fuck you, lad, you're having it.
He's just gone, oh, this guy's going quick. Fuck that.
And the other outstanding performance from the Dutch Grand Prix that we've forgotten to talk about, on the last lap, Valtteri Bottas from dead last to
second place. I loved that. I called it immediately. I was in a text channel with people and I went, Bottas P2! No wonder they fucking offed that timing tower as quick as they did. What a hero. He was, 2 laps down? I think.
I don't know. Something like that.
Did they just do it on, like,
2 laps down?
the fact that he crossed the line behind Norris or something? Yeah.
He was the first car over the line behind Norris.
And then what made it even better was more lapped cars kept crossing the line and jumping up the timing tower, which is why they switched it off.
Yeah.
See, did it come across on the live timing? I wonder if that timing glitch happened there as well. Or it was just the broadcast tower.
To see. I don't know. I haven't checked that.
They would have fixed it if it did, surely.
Oh.
That would have been quite funny, like just people watching the official timing. Bottas.
Yeah. Imagine just turn it on.
Imagine if you had a bet on with the bookies that Valtteri Bottas had finished second, and you're like, look, official timing. Give me money.
It's like, you haven't watched the race for that split second, you see Lando cross the line, and then Bottas P2, you're like, what the fuck?
When did this happen? Madness.
Anything else to talk about from the race?
Pit
that we haven't
stops.
talked about already?
Pit stops were
Interesting.
not up to caliber, really.
No.
Ferrari, I think, actually did the best pit stop I saw. Yeah.
With the right tyres.
Yeah, no, Ferrari did a good pit stop.
Uh.
McLaren did what I can only describe as a steady pit stop. They did what they needed to do. Red Bull's was a little bit slow, but Lando had enough of a buffer that McLaren could afford a second stab at a wheel with a wheel gun and not really have any impact on it. So it wasn't lightning, but it wasn't like a oh fuck go on the fucking car kind of pit stop, you know?
Yeah. And it certainly wasn't Valtteri Bottas in Monaco pit stops.
3 days.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, one thing we haven't covered from the race. Do we know if Haas have left the circuit yet?
They have.
Oh, okay.
It was covered in FP3 because that was the first session that I watched. It was apparently it was an administrative error. They should have paid, didn't. And then as soon as that was issued, they did pay, so it's fine.
Because after the race on Sunday, they were still there significantly later than the other teams. Everything was in the trucks. The trucks just weren't going. So, don't know what that was about, potentially. Well, I mean, I know what it was about. I don't know if they say they've paid, then what's going on. But
yeah, I'm not sure if it just had to clear systems and whatnot, and then
maybe
the
it's
legal
happened
people be
this
involved.
morning because the banks were open.
Yeah.
Except in the UK, Bank Holiday Monday. Let's go.
Woo!
End of August.
Yeah, 10 hours ago, they were finally on the move.
10 hours ago. That's only 1 p.m.
And that's 2 p.m. in the continent.
Yeah.
Former title sponsor, Russian Federation. Gee, that's
Yikes.
view correct.
I don't know if that's going
to receipts of last Friday's payment that was due back to it, so Haas trucks will make their move immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say they're a bit behind everyone else. But it's kind of a yikes, isn't it? An American.
And in a race that they
American
don't really
fucking team having to pay Russian company with everything that's going on with it. Yikes. Like, I was talking to someone at work about it, and it's like, look, what Haas did at the time, morally correct, definitely the right course of action, but legally left themselves exposed.
as we've seen this weekend.
Yeah, so
Well, I think the first mistake was signing the driver.
Money talks, and that's what they went with. And well,
there's still
you
like
can say, look how it backfired.
Nicholas Latifi, you know, he exists.
Yeah, but yeah, was he signed? He was already signed, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was at Williams.
Yeah, so obviously that wasn't an option for them at the time.
Existed.
I don't think
Hell,
Joe
have
had
brought in Mahavir Raghunathan if he's got enough super license points.
I don't think he does. I think he's only got enough for private
Tests.
So,
but yeah, I'd rather have seen him on the Formula One grid than Mazepin. Honestly, probably made it further around the track.
I don't know.
That's a tough.
That's a yeah.
He would then have caused many collisions and got himself a big span after.
Yeah, good point. It would have been like
it would have been
like Lance Stroll on Alonso, but there wouldn't have been anywhere near as much slowing down.
Yeah, but like it wouldn't be into turn 4.
It would be turn 1.
Turn 4.
It would 100% be turn 1. Man's gonna
And
lock up both fronts, lock up both rears, and just
it'd be interesting
into the fucking
to see
Ocon.
if you put Raghunathan into turn 1 and make him not do a 3-point turn, and just see if he can just make the corner.
Yeah,
it's a good question. Things we'll never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard, can we have prediction results, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Bold predictions we're going to start with this week. Everyone except me had a shitter.
Okay.
So I was the only bold prediction that was correct, and that was the fact that Logan Sargent would finish the race, which he did. So that marks the first time Logan Sargent has finished a feature-length or longer race. He finished a sprint race previously in F2, crashed out of the feature race, crashed out of the race last year, but actually finished the race this year. So improvements.
Exactly. It's just a shame that he's going to lose his seat.
Yep. Ben said Perez over 1.3 seconds slower than Max in quali. He was not. Chris, you said Logan in Q2. Mate, he didn't even make Q1.
No.
So that's why then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And Nia said Alonso in the top 5, which he was not.
Nia's
Podium.
bold predictions are fucking miracles, aren't they?
Yeah. It's just so good that I get so many of them. Anyway, that's actually back-to-back that I've scored, by the way. So we're going for 3. And I've actually got 3 out of the last 4 now. So, just saying. Podiums. Ben wins this week with an earth-shattering score of 4 points.
Get in.
Second place is Chris, myself, and Sonia on 2 points. And Nia is last with 1 point. So the standings for that. Nia has dropped 1 point further back off the bottom, is on 47 points. Chris, you're on 50 points. I'm on 66. Sonia is on 67. And Ben is on 73. And Hallie forgot to send me hers, so she's still on 36. She has, however, sent them in ahead of this week. We got that one covered. Lapdown Showdown. I think it's fair to say that Chris won this week. Got the correct driver and was closest on the lap, but didn't get the correct number of laps down. Ben was equal on the lap, but did get the correct number of laps down. So it's Ben will give you second on that. The correct answer, for those wondering, was very briefly Zhou on lap 28, and he finished 2 laps down. Zhou was lapped by Lando Norris, who then pitted at the end of lap 28, so it was only for about 2/3 of the lap that Zhou was lapped before unlapping himself. The nicheness of Lapdown Showdown coming into its own here. So, what else have we got? Perez position predictions. Perez qualified 5th. Nobody got that. But he finished the race in 6th, and Nia got that. So, Nia wins. As for the I was going to say the Belgium specific, the
street waffle
the
quiz.
Dutch prediction one. I didn't actually hear it be mentioned at all during live commentary.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I know. So I guess Ben kind of wins because he was closest with 8.
Oh.
So yeah, the more you know.
Fucking pointless, wasn't it?
Do you want to do my F1 Academy roundup before we do Italy?
Before we do that, we have a point of clarification to make, just in case this happens again. With Alex Albon's disqualification from qualifying, had he out-qualified Perez, Perez's position would have been increased by 1. Because we're taking the view of, if you're disqualified, you are meant to be there.
Which is different from how we view grid penalties. Because grid penalties, you qualified in your respective position, and it's the starting grid that is different.
Yeah.
So if Alex Albon had a grid penalty and had out-qualified him, then Alex Albon would... Perez's position wouldn't have changed. Basically. So.
Anyway. Yeah, shall we do news or F1 Academy?
We'll do F1 Academy, and then we'll do news, and then we'll do predictions.
Okay.
F1 Academy returned for the first time since Barcelona in June. And basically, Abby Pulling picked up where she left off. went quickest in the first 2 free practice sessions, and in the first qualifying session, she was also quickest. Second
What a
was
surprise.
Dorian Pan, and third was Nerea Marti. However, in qualifying 2, Dorian Pan was quickest, with Abby pulling 11 thousandths of a second behind.
I thought you were going to say an 11,000. Whoa!
No. And then Vague of Prema in third, 0.4 of a second behind. So a little bit of a gap there, but it's definitely close between Pulling and Pan. Like in qualifying 1, the difference was 0.12 of a second, and then in qualifying 2 it was 11 thousandths. So a good battle there. Race 1, obviously this was delayed to the Sunday morning owing to the weather conditions at the Zandvoort circuit. The podium, Vague was in third, Nerea Marti was in second, so it's a bit of a swap around there, and Abby Pulling won. So Dorian Pan actually dropped down to fifth owing to a time penalty for a jump start infringement. It was seen on the telemetry that her car was creeping forwards before the lights had gone out. So she was given I think it was a 5-second time penalty, which dropped her from second down to fifth. So disappointing for her in terms of her championship bid, but I mean also and in terms of the fact that she was on the podium. But she bounced back and did a lights to flag win with the fastest lap in race 2, with Vague getting the jump on Abby Pulling at the start and holding position. So Abby Pulling finishing third. Now, one story I want to cover is that in F1 Academy we have wildcard entries. We had this in Saudi Arabia, where it was like one of the local women who'd basically got in touch with Susie Wolf years back and said, how do I get into racing, blah, 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 blah. So then when they came to Saudi Arabia, she was the wildcard entry because she'd got her racing license and done all this, that, and the other. Now, obviously, owing to the general lack of experience with the machinery at this level, the wildcards haven't really done so great in their previous appearances. So neither of them actually managing to score any points. However, this weekend's wildcard, Gademan, I don't know how exactly you pronounce it. Yeah, she finished fourth in race 1.
Wow.
And finished 10th in race 2. She was further ahead than that on the road, but she had a 10-second time penalty for causing a collision. So she scored 13 points in total, which actually puts her 12th in the championship. And she's done
Can't complain at that, can you?
1 round. So I think in terms of a statement for a wild card, I would not be surprised, and I'd be willing to hedge my bets.
She's done a bit of British F4.
I'd be willing to hedge my bets that if the rule that a driver can only do 2 seasons in F1 Academy is true, I reckon she would be a shoo-in for next season. Given the number of drivers that would have done 2 seasons in the series. They'll be back at Singapore.
I was just about to say that. And then they've got a big break before the sale, and then their
They're
season
doing
finale.
Singapore.
They're doing Singapore.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be sick. Is
And
this
then
gonna be like the first like open wheel feature at Singapore?
No, because I'm sure Formula 2 have been before.
Would have to double check that. Not sure on that.
Unless it's back. I know they've been to Baku. That's a good question, actually.
I don't remember any series being at Singapore.
Wait, wasn't W Series meant to be
It
there?
was
Or
meant to.
Was
It was
there?
meant to, but it didn't.
It didn't turn up because
it
they had
went-
financial
It didn't
issues.
turn up and wasn't Wasn't that the one that they showed up and they done practice? It wasn't broadcast, and then after that they didn't do any racing. I'm sure they ran some point at Singapore.
Again, would have to check. Not sure.
Anyway, news.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and sorry, the Formula One Academy season finale is in Abu Dhabi alongside Formula 2. And obviously Formula 1. News. We have a new driver coming to the grid next year.
Yeah.
Jack Doohan has been announced for Alpine.
The first Alpine Academy graduate to race for Renault, Lotus, Alpine since Romain Grosjean in 2009. Yikes. So, yeah, that's given the names that they've had attached to their junior program in years gone by.
Such as Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, bit of a shock that it's actually taken them. Well, that would be 16 years by the time he actually makes his debut since the last one.
Everyone was saying he had the opportunity to do something hilarious after he was announced. And do the Oscar Piastri.
Do the Piastri. Could you imagine the panic in the admin office if he'd done
Or what he should have done was like...
I understand that with my permission,
changed
Alpine have announced my drive for next year. I will be
This is
driving for
correct. I
Alpine.
will be driving for Alpine.
That would have been amazing. Oh, that would have been so good.
But yeah, congrats to him and welcome to Formula One.
It's a good signing.
I believe that leaves us with 2 seats on the grid for 2025.
No, there's Sauber.
I think
I think just Mercedes and Sauber.
I thought it was 3.
Yes.
Mercedes.
No,
Mercedes, Sauber, and... Fuck.
RB? RB.
RB.
Oh, and
third
RB
RB
not
seat.
confirmed their second driver.
Yeah.
I think.
Technically Red Bull as well, probably.
I was about to say, they put out the graphic when it was announced. I'm just trying to find it on F1's Twitter.
Oh, lol, same.
What day was he announced? It was before the weekend, wasn't it?
Must have been. Bingo. Yeah, 3 drivers. 1 Kick Sauber, soon to be Audi. 1 RB and 1 Mercedes seat.
So it's basically what are Red Bull going to do with their drivers?
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so
the
other parts of the rumour mill, Liam Lawson, Christian Horner spoke about Liam Lawson this weekend. Liam Lawson is available to be loaned out for the 2025 season if he does indeed not end up in the RB seat. Now, given the limitations of the other available seats, I don't see why anyone would want to sign a driver for just 1 year. I particularly don't see that Mercedes would sign him, given the level of access.
Definitely wouldn't go to Mercedes.
The level of access that he'd have, knowing full well that he'd then be going back to Red Bull. When you're trying to develop a car for a set of regulation changes, no. So I don't think the loan move is on the cards. So I think it's either he gets... And it's like they've said, like, if we don't give him a seat, then he's free to find his own. It's like, motherfucker, you've left it so late, there's 2 seats left, and he's never getting the Mercedes one.
Yeah.
And 2 seats left outside of your own, sorry, let's be more specific there.
Unless completely left to the Red Bull driver
RB
academy,
family,
but even then, he's still not going to get it.
Yeah.
Because
the other rumour mill, Toto.
But actually, sorry, before we go, let's talk about the one confirmed thing, is that Kimi Antonelli will make his Formula 1 debut this weekend in Monza.
Yeah.
He will be taking part in FP1. And that made the rumours even stronger.
Yeah, so...
About what
let me find the
lies.
Let me find the actual quote. I got sent a quote. F1. Toto Wolff just confirmed the signing of Kimi Antonelli to Mercedes for 2025. This is the quote, the two drivers in our car next year have our full support. I want to work with George and Kimi. That sounds pretty done deal.
Yeah.
Apparently, it will be announced at the Italian GP this weekend, which also makes sense because it's his home race.
Home race,
Home
F1
race,
debut.
FP1,
Yeah.
like fanfare, roll out the red carpet. Welcome to Formula One, Kimi. So, yeah, I would not be surprised
and also
in
probably
the
because
slightest.
Toto has now let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. So, I don't actually have a source for that quote. But if that is indeed exactly what he has said, then let's be honest, it will not be a surprise if he is announced this weekend.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think it would be like one of the worst kept secrets in Formula One anyway.
Yeah.
It's been pretty clear that Mercedes have been eyeing up, moving up their junior driver for most of this season. Kimi has demonstrated he's done well in Formula 2. He started well. Which got the attention of everyone in the F1 paddock. And then Mercedes was just kind of like, yeah, he's one of ours. What are you going to do about it? And then Lewis announced he was jumping ship to Ferrari, and everyone was like, oh, are you? And they went, maybe. And then just kind of played coy with it, and now it seems to be like, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So.
The only other seat that's available, and to be honest, there's not really any strong rumours about it at the moment, is the other Audi seat.
Yeah, I've heard nothing.
No one's talking about it.
Since Carlos signed for Williams, I've heard nothing about that second Audi seat. Which is wild.
They just run Nico Hulkenberg and that's it.
They might run Nico
Breaking
Hulkenberg.
news. Logan Sargent signs for Audi.
I suppose they could run Joe again if they desperately need the sponsorship money again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Obviously, Audi have a vested interest in German, which is why they brought Nico onto the project. So they could continue to go down the German route and look for another one. Who's actually like a free agent that's German at the minute?
Seb.
I was about to say that. Sebastian Vettel.
So your two main candidates then would be
Wehrlein.
Sebastian Vettel and
Formula
Mick Schumacher,
world champion.
The two F1 German drivers. So
let's get Mick back.
But can I see either of them realistically joining Audi? I suppose Mick more than Seb, really. Because Seb would probably be like, yeah, but have you seen Mick? He's the next big thing.
I still think it would probably be Bottas.
I'm 50-50 on Bottas and Joe, to be honest. Bottas is tried and tested, good driver, reliable. Joe brings shitloads of sponsorship money. Like, metric shitloads. And that is not something that is overlooked by teams. Especially a team like Audi, who is up shit creek. But that is probably because it is currently Kick and Sauber, and they're on the way out, so they don't really want to invest.
Yeah.
So,
I
mean, it's fair enough, you know.
It's Monza time, I think.
Yeah.
The Temple of Speed. Let's do predictions. Pole position. Let's just jump straight in. Pole position, please, Richard.
Piastri.
Ben?
Charles Leclerc.
I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton.
I need someone to read off Nia's, please.
And Nia has went for Max Verstappen. Surprise, surprise.
I haven't had Sonia's response yet, but Hallie has submitted Charlie La Spaghetti.
Who's getting injured this weekend to let them take an F1 seat?
Logan.
Podium.
The banker.
Yeah. Podium, please, Ben.
Start with third and say
Okay.
Max Verstappen.
Right.
I would then say Charlie Boy
Mm-hmm.
and Lando to get back-to-back wins.
Okay. I'll do the same. I'll say Max Verstappen in third, Lando Norris in second, and Hamilton to win the race.
Okay, what's Nia's?
Richard? Oh, okay. Nia's is Leclerc third, Norris second, Verstappen first.
Leclerc third, Norris second, Verstappen. Okay, seeing as we're doing it this way around this week, I'll continue the theme. I've put Verstappen third, Piastri second, Norris first.
And
Team order issue.
I think you got it at this point, though, haven't you?
Yeah. Hallie has put Leclerc third, Piastri second, Norris first.
bold.
Well, actually, I should say she said Charlie La Spaghetti third, Oscar Piastrini second, and Lando Nacino Biscotti first.
I rate the pasta gags.
Yeah. Well, biscotti is nice biscuits.
Well, I rate the attempt.
The Italian gags.
The Italian theme, yeah. Bold prediction. We'll start off with Nia's because this isn't going to happen. Nia has said sober points.
I mean, fair play. It's bold.
It's very bold.
And it's not unexpected DNF.
I think there could be 10 cars finish a race and Sauber would still not get points.
Yeah. Richard.
I'm saying McLaren team orders.
Okay. Fair. Do you want to specify? Or just team orders in general?
We know what I want.
Yeah.
From my podium prediction, we know what's happening.
Okay. Ben?
Double Alpine points.
I'm going to say at least one Ferrari to not finish.
At least one Ferrari DNF. Lapdown Showdown. There are 53 laps of the Italian Grand Prix.
Okay, Nia has went with Logan Sargent on lap 32, one lap down.
This is a solid bet. I'm going to say Zhou Guanyu on lap 30 to finish one lap down.
Ben?
I'm going to say Guan Yu Zhou on lap 32 and one lap down.
And I too am going to go Zhou Guanyu on lap 28, one lap down.
We've absolutely dogpiled on show this week.
Apart from Nia.
But yeah, Nia is sticking with ye old faithful Sargent.
And finally...
Hey Sergio, welcome to Red Bull.
It's Perez position predictor. Ben, take it away.
He's going to qualify 7th and finish 5th.
Nia has said he's going to qualify 6th and finish 5th.
Fuck, that's exactly what I've written.
So Richard has said 6 and 5. I'm going to go qualify 9th.
We've all
Finish
got too much
7th.
faith in him.
So this is the first
We've all got too
time
much faith.
in... This is the first time since Austria that we have all predicted him to make it to Q3.
We've all got too much faith in him now.
Watch him finish 12th in quali.
Yeah.
He's gonna get
go
caught.
to Q1.
He's gonna get caught out by Track Evo or the flag timing or something.
Or talent.
Oh wait, remember there's gravel at the Lesmos. He's going to find that.
There's gravel around a lot of the
Yeah.
Autodromo Nazionale di Monza.
And yeah, you may have noticed we didn't really do much of a build up to Monza. It's Monza. It's a track that needs no introduction. It's one of the ones that needs to stay on the Formula One calendar for a very long time.
Forever.
Yeah.
As long as
And with-
F1 is a sport, Monza should be on the calendar.
And with that thought, join us after Monza. Enjoy the Italian Grand Prix weekend, and we will see you next week. Ta for now.